Suspend your disbelief, your rational, analytic mind, just for a minute, just for the length of this podcast. What if all I am about to tell you is the truth? What if the information you will be provided is from a divine source? Just for this time, I am your Axis Mundi. Consider this podcast your channel, your second opinion. When I do a reading, something larger than myself is working through me. So ask what you wish. This is your channel, your doorway to the divine. Oh, welcome to John's Tarot. Welcome to you from wherever in the world you may be listening. I have a list of places. Welcome to you from Arkansas.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Welcome to you from Nebraska.
You are talking to a man who has laughed in the face of death, sneered at doom, and chuckled at catastrophe.
Welcome to you from California.
Try to relax. This will feel a little weird.
Welcome to you from Ontario, Canada.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Welcome to you from Wisconsin.
Now, don't make any more mistakes.
Thank you. And welcome to you from China.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Welcome to you from Mexico.
And now it has come to us. Stand alone in the breach and face the worst that the tyrant's might and enmity can do.
Welcome to you
Bearing
from
ourselves humbly before God, but conscious that we serve an unfolding purpose, we are ready to defend our native land against the invasion by which it is threatened.
I should have saved that one for the UK. Welcome to you from the UK.
A light that burns twice as bright burns half as long, and you have burned so very, very brightly, Roy.
And welcome to you from Sweden.
It's catharsis. He absorbs their dread with his narrative. Because of this, he's effective in proportion to the amount of certainty he can project.
Welcome to you from, who else we got here? From Russia.
Certain linguistic anthropologists think that religion is a language virus, that it rewrites pathways in the brain, dulls critical thinking.
Welcome to you from Spain. Well, what do we get for Spain?
I did everything right and they indicted me.
Welcome to you from Denmark.
Calling Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard.
Welcome you. Kind of a long intro today. Welcome to you from wherever in the world you may be. Let's take care of a little bit of business first. I'm going to have an interview. I do have an interview today with Samuel Chong, interpreter of the Thiaoouba Prophecy, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. I will be out of town for the next couple of weeks, so I won't be doing a live version of John's Tarot, but there will be, I'll post some past versions that are no longer available. I'll put them up on YouTube, so you'll be able to get them up on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, you'll be able to get it up on my podcast, John's Tarot. All my old versions of John's Tarot are on John's Tarot podcast. You'll find that on Spotify. And all my new versions are just on John's Tarot. They can't combine the two for some reason. That's okay. That's okay, because I have new listeners, and I will post some new information up there this week. What else is going on? For this week, I have my very first interview that I ever did was with a guy named Samuel Chong. Samuel was very nice. He contacted me to do an interview, and that's what started me off on the interview process. Samuel, what he did was there was a book called The Thiaoouba Prophecy by a fellow named Michel Desmarquet, and it was not written in English. And Samuel interpreted it into English and into Chinese. This book, The Thiaoouba Prophecy, is a huge hit in China. So I had this interview with Samuel Chong. The book is about now when I do this program, it's about mind expansion, and I think I've done, and I talked about expanding consciousness, and I talked about not getting into politics on this version of John's Tarot, but on how to survive this administration. And as I think back over it over the last couple of weeks, I think I've done really well. We've talked about anxiety. We've talked about suicide. We've talked about meditation. And we talked about techniques to get you through these turbulent times. And certainly these times are turbulent. And I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. If you would like a free reading, I'm here to do free readings. I'm here usually every Saturday. Oh, this is Friday. Every Friday is at 10 a.m. on Twitch. So if you like a free reading on Twitch, this is the place to contact me for a free reading on Twitch. So I have done pretty well in putting out some information to get you through these turbulent times. If you would like to be a guest on John's Tarot, please contact me, and we'll work out a time and a place where we could do a interview. My interviews are recorded, and then I post them. So Samuel Chong and the Thiaoouba Prophecy, like I said, he interpreted the Thiaoouba Prophecy written by Michel Desmarquet. In the Thiaoouba Prophecy, they talk about all the things that would be important to us. They talk about... He talks about, I remember as you start the book, different, how can I say this? They call it dimensions. Different dimensions exist at the same time. They talk about space travel. He talks about other species traveling through space and their observation of us on this planet. He talks about how man came to this planet and how we evolved on this planet. He talks about ancient and lost civilizations. Really interesting book. I really enjoyed reading it. He talks about reincarnation. Now, I tend to be a believer in reincarnation, but in the book, The Thiaoouba Prophecy, Michel Desmarquet talks about reincarnation and the purpose of reincarnation. And he even talks about why Jesus came and appeared in this world. So I'm going to move right over to the interview with Samuel Chong as we talk about the Thiaoouba Prophecy. I hope you enjoy the interview. Welcome to John's Tarot. I'm John, and I have a special guest today, Samuel Chong. Our topic today is about abduction aboard a UFO, alien abduction. And my special guest for today is Samuel Chong. Samuel is a certified court interpreter and Chinese translator. Samuel was instrumental in arranging for the Chinese publication of Michel Desmarquet's book, The Thiaoouba Prophecy, which has been a bestseller in both China and Taiwan, a rare phenomena. He visited the author, Michel Desmarquet, in 2016 and 2018. He had a close working relationship with him. He also translated the book, 334% Lies, The Revelation of H.M.V. Stool, an autobiography of the High Master of the Chair of a secret society that was started in Germany. Today, he dedicates his efforts in promoting the message in these books in order to give people hope and to help promote a better world through his scholarship. Samuel is a graduate from the UC Berkeley with a Bachelor in Economics. Also, the Universidad Carlos III de Madrid with a Master's in Financial Analysis. He currently resides in Los Angeles, California. The book, The Thiaoouba Prophecy, is a book of warnings from the ETs from an advanced civilization. The book details the author's unique experience being invited to an extraterrestrial planet that has an advanced civilization. And he was informed of the history of Earth, ancient civilization, facts about reincarnation and the afterlife, the construction and purpose of the Great Pyramids, the statues on Easter Island, the Bermuda Triangle, aurora and human energy fields, aura and human energy fields, and the stories in the Bible versus historical facts. So I bring you Michael. I bring you Samuel Chong. Hi, Sam. Welcome to John's Tarot.
Hi, John. Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too. How is it that you started out on this journey? Life is a journey. We all have different journeys. What brought you on this journey?
Well, since I was young, I was always curious about the unknown or the paranormal. So I thought that if the ETs had advanced civilizations, they could just come and tell us. And if they could come and visit us, they must have such technologies, and we can just learn from them. So in my subconscious mind, I was always looking for books written by ET contactees. So back in 2014, I found this book. I couldn't put the book down because it contains a lot of fascinating information that answered all my questions that I had at that time, including who built the Great Pyramid of Egypt? What about the stories in the Bible, Exodus, and the resurrection of Christ, as well as the Bermuda Triangle mystery? What happened to the people who just vanished? So this book has all the answers, and more importantly, it gives us information about the meaning of life and how the universe was created and why we live here on Earth. What do we do about it if we cannot take away all the material wealth? What's the purpose of going through all the challenges? So I was able to learn a lot of the secrets that a lot of people have been looking for, such as how to improve their spiritual development, and also the real dangers on Earth. For example, it talks about number one being money, number two, politicians, number three, journalists and drugs, and number four, religions. So that's how I got started.
Yeah, I really apprecited what it said about religions too, and about reincarnation, and how Earth, and how we live life after life, and how the energy within us just goes to the next incarnation, and we've all lived many lives. I also very much appreciated how the Earth got populated. Could you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, we originally all came from different planets. For example, the blacks and the yellows came from a planet called Baccaratini about 1.35 million years ago. So the blacks landed in what's now today's Australia, and the yellows landed in what's now today's southern Myanmar. And the blacks had a settlers group that later went to Africa. So that's why we have a lot of Africans who appear to be black. And the Chinese or the Asians or the yellows, they have helped the blacks, and the blacks help the yellows in surviving or adapting the environment on Earth. But there was a great reset that happened a million years ago after their arrival, which occurred because an asteroid hit Earth and split into three parts that caused flooding and also Earth platonic changes. And a lot of the people died as a result. And the technologies that the yellows and blacks brought from their original planet got disrupted. So we had to start over again. And then later, the ancestors of the Polynesians came, and the Caucasians came, and the Hebrews came. So we all came from different planets.
Yeah, I got 1% Hebrew in me. I did a DNA test. How do you feel about? I felt very strongly about what it was said about politicians. Our politicians today, especially in our today's political environment, and the Thiaoubans had a good method of dealing with politics. Would you explain how they would elect somebody, 6 people, and they get one spokesman out of those? Would you elaborate on that?
Yes, they would have a system in which there is a local election. People would spend time with each other, and then they would elect one representative from the group of locals. And then the representative would get together with the representatives of other regions elected by other regions, other groups. And then And then there would be another election among the representatives. And then there would be another election as a result of the election from the representatives. And then there will be 7 people on the top, which will be a council of a country. And then the chair of the council, or maybe the president of the council, would have 2 votes. And then the other 6 would have 1 vote each person. If there's a tie, then there will be a very arduous debate amongst the 7 people until 1 person is persuaded. So this is how they elect democratically the leaders of their country, and this is probably a better system than our current system because of the swing effect.
Yeah, I really like the way Michel Desmarquet described that. As soon as somebody is elected in this country, he's automatically attacked. And all his policies are try to deconstruct what he's trying to do, and he lacks support in getting anything accomplished. I really appreciated that. From reading the book, how did you contact Michel Desmarquet? How did that come about?
Well, I read the postscript, and it says there are far more incredible things that the author, Michel, wasn't allowed to write in the book. And because they're far more, because we were far from understanding them. That got me extremely curious. I was always curious about the unknown. So I decided to ask him in person what else he knew but couldn't write in the book. So that's why I decided to fly to Vietnam and then taking a photo that I grabbed from the internet because I didn't know exactly where he was living. And the picture showed his bungalow. And I showed that picture to the local taxi driver. I asked him to take me there. And the taxi driver took me there after the second try. And then I waited until Michel woke up from his afternoon nap. And then that's how we met. But he was a little bit annoyed at my visit when he saw me. He was not very happy.
Yeah, he was trying to hide there, and you found him out.
Yeah, he was a very private person.
Yeah, I appreciated his book. What year did he have his experience when he was, I'm going to say abducted for lack of a better term?
That happened in June of 1987.
And in the book, he talks about going to a kind of an alternative universe or a parallel universe. And actually, as we look at quantum mathematics in the quantum universe, those types of things are just being talked about now. Parallel universes, how many there are, and he was experienced that in 1982 before that was a general topic. That was kind of interesting. What all existed in that parallel universe? Is that just like a waiting place for the Thiaoubans?
Well, it's actually a natural phenomenon in which people near the portals or the warps of the parallel universe get sucked into it, and then time stops in the parallel universe, and they wouldn't feel any hunger, thirst, or pain, and they would be stuck there forever unless they know how to get out. So this is the place that the ETs or UFOs use to hide themselves. So this is why when you observe the sky, sometimes you see the UFOs or UAPs appear out of nowhere in the sky, because they use the parallel universe as a hiding place for themselves. And this is very interesting because David Paulides documented a lot of people who just gone vanish in national parks. And I assume that some of them also got stuck into the parallel universe because, when rescue teams sent out the dogs to trace the scents, and the dogs sometimes couldn't trace and stopped out of nowhere, and they couldn't continue to go after the scent. And then sometimes they would search and research a specific area, and then sometimes a few days later, the corpse appear in the place that they repeatedly searched many times before. So I would assume that somehow the corpse got out of the parallel universe and then landed in where the rescue team searched previously.
In the book, the Thiaoouba Prophecy, for people who are unfamiliar with it, Michel Desmarquet was abducted by Thiaoubans. Thiaouba, is that the planet?
Yes.
Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes.
And how long were these Thiaoubans here visiting Earth? How long were they aware of our existence?
Since the beginning of the human civilization. They actually are so advanced that they live on category 9 planet, and we live on category 1 planet. And they have been watching us, and some of their activities have been documented in the ancient scriptures in the Bible. For example, the book of Enoch, and the destructions of the two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, and Exodus, Moses helping or leading the Hebrews out of Egypt, and parting the Sea of Reeds, not the Red Sea, but the Sea of Reeds, and giving the Hebrews manna to eat so that they could survive, and also giving Moses the Ten Commandments. And then the birth of Jesus, Jesus going to India and died in Japan, and the resurrection of Christ. Actually, I have to clarify, Jesus and Christ, according to this book, are two different entities. Jesus was the one who was born from Virgin Mary, who went to India and died in Japan. He was highly spiritual, but he couldn't perform miracles. So this is why we don't see any record of Jesus performing miracles in the Bible before the age of 30. And Christ is a different figure. And he was actually sent here to teach about spirituality and love and reincarnation. But we all know the concept of reincarnation was later removed by the Catholic Church Council meetings.
Yeah, funny the way they removed that. The interesting thing about the way Michel talked about reincarnation, and it gives me a broader experience of time, a broader perspective of time, of my own spiritual life, how far back I went, and how much more in the future I may go. And it makes me a little bit more responsible. Like I need to leave this planet a little better place than I found it. Also, one of the big messages from the book was that humanity on other planets, as well as this one, has existed. And they've discovered nuclear weapons and they've extinguished themselves. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. According to the Thiaoubans or JohnsTarot, Adam is actually one of the necessary elements in the universe that's discovered and rediscovered for its use. So nuclear weapons or atomic bombs are discovered, invented, and rediscovered on different planets, including Earth. So in the original planet where the blacks and yellows came from, there was a nuclear war that almost wiped out the entire populations of blacks and yellows. There were a lot of conflicts between the two races of people. But after the nuclear war, they learned their lessons, and they learned that everything is about love and we should treat each other nicely and compassionately. So they coexisted peacefully on that planet for a long time until they discovered that that planet couldn't survive for long because the core of the planet was cooling down. So when the core of the planet cools down, it no longer has the electromagnetic forces to capture the atmosphere. So according to scientists, that's when the people should move to a different planet, a younger planet, to survive. So that's why they searched the suitable planet in the solar system. First, they found Mars. There were people living on Mars back then, but the planet was also cooling down. And then they found Earth. So they coexisted on Earth peacefully until the natural disaster occurred. So on different planets, nuclear wars happen, and people have to learn the lessons the hard way. And I hope that we don't have another nuclear war on Earth, because the ETs have been sending us multiple signals and warnings to us, telling us that we are going to destroy ourselves if we have another world war or a nuclear war.
I did look. Ian, how many races do you think are visiting Earth? How many different, besides the Thiaoubans? Would you have any idea of that?
There are multiple races or different races of ETs that have been visiting Earth. And in our Milky Way galaxy, there are at least 147 different species of ETs, because when Michel Desmarquet went on their planet and he saw a golden dome-shaped structure in which 147 corpses of different ETs float in that structure. And then he also saw the corpse of Jesus or Christ, and he was actually shocked. He couldn't control himself, and he saw the marks of injuries of the whippings and also the nails on the wrist of Christ or Jesus. So he couldn't control himself, and this is just so too much for him, and the ETs had to carry him out. So there are so many different species of ETs that have been visiting us, but the Thiaoubans are the ones that have been mentoring us and giving us warnings and helping us to grow spiritually. And the other ETs that have been visiting us are just observers.
I mentioned a little bit a while ago about Chris Bledsoe, and he had a female visitor. Could that possibly be a manifestation of a Thiaooban, that Chris could understand?
Yeah, it's possible, because the Thiaoubans are very beautiful. They're sexy. They're 9 or 10 foot tall, and they can shrink themselves to our size. They can perform all the miracles as performed by Christ. They can communicate through telepathy. They can materialize objects. They can heal all the diseases you can think of, and they can levitate. So you can imagine all the things that Christ did, and they can do that too.
I hope humanity takes to heart the lesson about nuclear weapons, and that other civilizations have almost extinguished themselves. And a smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. And I hope we can learn from those others' mistakes. What else could you tell me? They picked up when I read the book, and did Michel have any warning that this was going to happen to him?
Well, his job is to document everything that he saw, witnessed, and experienced, and to describe everything in such details without changing any word or any information. And his job is to send us the stern warnings from the ETs. He didn't know that he was coming back. He wanted to stay there forever, because the planet was just like a paradise to him. Everything was so beautiful and so pleasant, and people on the planet were so compassionate and so loving, and they never age. They're forever young. They don't age at all, because they can generate and regenerate their body tissues and cells. And so Michel, after he came back, he was always looking to go back with them. And when I met him, and he was always looking at the sky, hoping that they can take him back. So that's how he felt. And he was very, very disappointed at what was happening on Earth. He was very cynical about the politics and the politicians.
Yeah, I'm a little cynical about that myself right now. Well, what other questions? Like I said, we talked about reincarnation. We talked about religion, and how talk a little bit about how some of the religions are holding us back, according to Michel in his book.
Yes, we should be spiritual but not religious, according to this book, because organized religions serve their purposes, and they don't look after the importance of the meaning of life of people on Earth. In fact, when the Creator created everything, like including the stars, the planets, animals, plants, and human beings, it inserted a tiny portion of itself to each one of us. So we are part of the Creator, and the Creator is part of us. So the Creator, being a pure spirit, wants to experience what we experience, the happiness, the sorrows, and also everything else that we experience on Earth. so that we can send positive feedback to the creator through our higher self, so that we can learn and also become more spiritual. So that's actually the meaning of life. And it's important to keep that in mind, because um, religions want people to be spiritual, but during the course of history, some people, some religious clergy, they intentionally or unintentionally distort the original meanings of the ancient scriptures. And actually, this book specifically named the 4 different Catholic Church Council meetings that intentionally distorted the original meanings of the ancient scriptures in the Christian religion. It applies to other religions too. So we should be able to, actually we are able to communicate to the creator directly without going through an intermediary agency such as the clergy or pastors or priests. We can just look inside for answers when we have challenges. We don't need to ask a priest to forgive our sins. We don't need that. We can just communicate to the source directly. That's actually the gist of the book.
I really don't. I really don't sin anymore. I make mistakes. I still make mistakes, and I learn from my mistakes. But I'm not doing in my life what I would consider to be sins. But I do make mistakes. What would you suggest if people? The goal of the book is really to encourage people about nuclear weapons, about our goal in life is to become more spiritual. What suggestions would you have for somebody who is looking to increase their spirituality?
Well, I think the best way is to follow the teachings of Christ. Just read the red lined words of the New Testaments of the Bible, especially the 4 Gospels, what Christ taught us: to love one another and to give a hand to your neighbor or your enemy when they're in need. So the gist of the book is that when we die, we give up our physical body. When our astral body leaves the physical body, we would go through a life reveal process in which we are able to see everything that we did in a holographic film. We would be able to feel all the pains and sufferings of the others when we harmed the others. We would also be able to feel the joy and happiness when we help others. So it's like a holographic experience, and we would learn from the life that we just ended, and because we could feel how others felt when we did certain things onto others. So this way we would evaluate ourselves, how we did in the last lifetime, and then we would decide what kind of spiritual lessons to learn when we reincarnate. We determine which families we are going to be born into, and we determine whether we are going to have a wife or a husband, and what kind of a relationship we're going to have. If we choose to go into that route, then we would go through what the ancient Nagas would call the river of oblivion, forgetting the information that was presented to us. And then we would go into the embryo of the mother and then become a baby and be born that way, and then experience the life that we determined to live through.
I wonder if you could explain to me one of the parts of the book that kind of escaped me because I wasn't able to absorb it all. Had to do with we have different levels of our body, our astral body being one of those levels, and that how noise is really interfering in our astral bodies. I was wondering if you could expound on a little bit of that.
Yes, we have different bodies. We have our physical body, we have the physiological body, we have the astral body, astrotypical, and other bodies. So the astral body is made of electrons. When we have noise, the noise damages the electrons, just like when you watch a TV when there's electron interference, and then you would see the white dots on the screen. So similarly, certain noise would damage our astral bodies. So when you have damages in your astral bodies, it would carry on into your next life when you reincarnate into future generations. So this is very important to note, is to really keep away from noises and also hallucinogenic drugs, because hallucinogenic drugs also damage our astral body. And actually, I got confirmation from people who can see auras or human energy fields. They say that when you are around a noisy environment, when you are in a very noisy environment, or when you use or take hallucinogenic drugs, your auras or human energy fields don't appear to be as pretty or as coherent as people who are not in such an environment, or people who don't use hallucinogenic drugs. So it's very important to keep that in mind, because if I lose my arm, then I would get my arm back when I reincarnate into my next life. But when our astral body is damaged, it would carry on into the future generations when you reincarnate.
I had an experience some years ago where I kind of had I came in touch with that higher power, and that higher power is a part of me. It's part of the earth. It's a part of me. And what many times what I do is not so much what I do, but it's an expression of the universe working through me. And so I kind of appreciate a lot of the theories of Michel Desmarquet, because I kind of have experienced them in a small way myself. What else would you like to say? We'll go ahead and start looking to wrap this up. What would you like to say in conclusion?
In conclusion, is we live this life to experience and to improve our spirituality. So it's important to help each other, and it's important to love one another. So I think the best way is to really look inside when you have challenges, when you want to make certain choices. Follow your gut feelings and trust your intuition, and not to really rely on what the politicians say or the mainstream media say. And I think that's very important, to trust yourself, because you are part of God and God is part of you. And you can really communicate to God or the creator if you meditate, if you pray, or if you just have a good night of sleep, because in dreams you can also communicate with the creator.
I believe that's all true. Well, thank you so much, Samuel. I enjoyed our conversation, and I very much appreciate you appearing on John's Tarot. I'm going to go ahead and hit end recording and stick around for a couple minutes. Well, that was my interview with Samuel Chong. Thank you, Samuel, for appearing on John's Tarot. If you would like to appear on John's Tarot, be interviewed on John's Tarot, go ahead and send me an email. I'm at john at johnstarot.net. And you can get a hold of me. I have a little webpage too, johnstarot.net, or you could get a hold of me on YouTube. You know, and if you would like to participate in John's Tarot, a reading about a specific social topic, leave me a little message on YouTube, and we'll do a reading on a social topic. Today I have a little article here, and this will lead into the tarot reading we're going to do. This is an opportunity, too. If anybody would like a free reading, I'm glad to do a free reading for you. And it talks about alien life breakthroughs. Astronomers detect coherent radio signal from a distant planet. So they picked up a radio signal, and they have traced it down to a place called YZ Ceti b, which is approximately 70.5 trillion miles from Earth. Now, 1 light year is 5.88 trillion miles. So it's at about 12 trillion miles from Earth. And they're not quite sure if this is an intelligent signal, but it's a repetitive signal. What I mean by intelligent is this coming from radio signals, or is this coming from magnetic anomalies coming from that planet, like we have here the anomalies coming from our I can't pronounce it. I can't remember the name of it. Where you see the northern lights, that is a magnetic anomaly, and it's probably transported through Earth. So my tarot question for today is going to be, and I'll go over to my tarot cam page. will we ever get some type of disclosure from the government about a distant planet, intelligence being on a distant planet? And that is going to be my reading for today. If I have anybody who would like a free reading, I'll do their free reading for today, which is more interesting than mine. Okay. So let me, my ability to read tarot is a gift and it's an expression of divine love. And I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. So let's go ahead and shuffle the deck. I'm going to go ahead and use the electronic cards for today. Whoops, I have to gather all the cards. No use. And then shuffle the deck. And we gather the cards. Here we go. Shuffle the deck. 3-card reading. And I'll throw some runes. And I got some new runes. I made some new runes. I made a light deck and a dark deck. My dark deck tells me about the balanced word of the deity and how to move forward. The light deck talks about breaking through severe obstacles. So if you want a reading, those are the runes I'm going to use. And today I'm going to use the dark deck, the balanced word, the balanced word of the deity, and how to move forward. And I'll show you the runes here in a minute. So, can we ever expect disclosure or contact with a distant planet? And that'll be 6 cards. And that'll be a strict yes or no. I probably won't even pull any runes. I hate to run this program this late. I talk too much. That's a problem. 6 cards from the runes, from the tarot. Can we ever expect a disclosure from a distant? Let's have to do 3. Can we ever expect disclosure from a distant planet? The Ace of Swords. I think we could do this. I think we can do this. I'm going to do 6 cards. No, they'll disappear if I drop it there. Second card. Can we ever aces and swords and pentacles are no. Wands and cups are yes. Can we ever expect disclosure from another world? Wheel of Fortune. We'll throw that one out. 9 of Cups. I'll throw that one is I got 2 no's, 2 swords. The Sun. I'll just put it up there. And the Queen of Cups. One more card. At least not the 7 of Swords. So I have the Ace of Swords, Wheel of Fortune, 9 of Swords, the Sun, Queen of Cups, and the 7 of Swords. Definitely our government is not going to be releasing any information about disclosure from another planet. It'll be definitely hidden. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it. That was a quick reading. I don't know. I spend more time nowadays doing interviews than I do doing readings, but I am available to do readings if you would like a reading. Let me go ahead and gather the cards. And what do I do a reading on? How about how do we best survive the next week? Let's go ahead and shuffle the cards, and I'll throw some runes on this one. How do we best survive the next week? A lot of turmoil in this new administration. How do we best survive the next week? The Devil. Oh, what a coincidence. The second card has to do with turmoil, thinking less of ourselves. The 7 of Pentacles. And the third card, the 4 of Swords. I got to turn this one little thing off I have on here. And I'm going to take a look at some runes, throw some runes on this. Odin, Freya, please help guide this reading. How do we best survive this next week and all the turmoil we have coming our way? For the devil, the 7 of Pentacles and the 4 of Swords. Oh, that is the wrong. That's the wrong. I grabbed the wrong runic deck. How do we, Odin Freya, how do we survive this next week? The devil, 7 of Swords, and the 4 of Swords. And this one is called Feu. Has to do with wealth and moving forward. There we go. That's the new rune, one of the new runes. And for the 7 of Pentacles, Helgas. I know what that one means. Or Hegel. And then the third rune. This one is called, I should know this one. This has to do with delay. There we go. And let me brighten it up a little bit. Brighten it up a little bit. And that third rune was Nathis. That's the name of it. So the devil, why don't we get through this? So we got a lot of disruptions. We got a lot of worry. We got a lot of things worried about us. We're worried about financial stuff as this new administration moves forward. And so what we need to do is take our time a little bit and remember this is just at the beginning of a phase. We need to keep on working, keep on developing ourselves. Don't expect immediate results from this administration, and don't expect immediate negative results either. This rune, Helgas, has to do with, it's a bit of a hailstorm right now, but hailstorms don't last forever. So, they come, they're disruptive, and then they pass. So for right now, we need to, the final card is the 6 of Swords. We need to just kind of lay back, take a rest. What would meditate on this? What would our ancestors do if they were stuck in this type of, would take wisdom from the past. If they were stuck in this type of situation, what would your grandfather do? What would your grandfather tell you? And this is a period of I don't want to say rest, but it's a pause. So don't do anything this week. It's a pause. But while in this period of pause, don't waste your time. Think about how you would like to move forward. What is it you would like to accomplish? And how are you going to be able to accomplish that given our current set of circumstances? So for this week,
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
It was my pleasure. I will post some stuff up for this week. I'll have some old episodes of John's Tarot. I'll post those up. So it'll be on YouTube or it'll be on, Spotify. And I want you all to have a great week. Remember, be careful, be cool, be kind, have faith, find courage. And I'll see you all next week. All right, bye-bye.